Hi skincare lovelies, we're going to talk about your evening recipe for melasma. Now, this is the perfect time to get the pigment cells quiet as we work with the skin cell cycle. There's so many different pathways that feed into pigment cell activity, and so the more meaningfully you can address multiple of those pathways, the more effective your clinical result is going to be, the happier you're going to be with the evenness of your skin tone. So let's get talking. First part is your cleansing step, and here with your cleansing step you can bring in an alpha hydroxy acid, for example glycolic, as an ingredient. Now, what glycolic is going to do is it's going to pick up that uppermost layer of the skin cells at stratum corneum layer, which is where you get some of the deposited pigmentation. So you certainly are going to see even more clarity of complexion with your glycolic cleanser. I like glycolic as an ingredient as well because it leaves a beautiful smoothness to the skin surface, so textural improvement alongside. Apart from that, you want to be mindful about things like scrubs. For example, if you're popping in a physical exfoliant into your skincare routine in the evening, it may feel nice to you, especially if your skin is a bit more on the seborrheic or the sheeny or shiny side. But any form of physical on the skin, it's going to cause tiny micro tears in the skin, and that may then give you a little bit of inflammation, more pigmentation. So if you're going to use an exfoliant, enzymatic or chemical exfoliant. We'll get to enzymatic in a moment in terms of our serums. Okay, so we've cleansed, we're going on to serums because remember, viscosity is how we layer. And there are two serums here that I find especially helpful for pigmentation. The one is they are gentle on the skin surface, and gentle is important because irritation again offsets inflammation, more pigment cell activity. So the one I like in particular is the discoloration defense. What does it have in it? There's three parts to it. Tranexamic acid. Tranexamic is wonderful to decrease inflammation in the skin, which drives the pigment pathways. The second part is niacinamide. Now niacinamide is super helpful as an ingredient because it stops the transfer of pigment once it's created in the pigment cell, which is the melanocyte, to the skin cell, which is the keratinocyte. So it's stopping the delivery mechanism of, if you will, of the pigmentation. And the third part is enzymatic exfoliator. So we've talked about physical, you can feel that. We've talked about chemical, example glycolic. Enzymatic exfoliator is a gentle turnover of skin cells, but again, meaningful lift up of pigmentation. So here, three actives that very nicely correct for or help pick up pigmentation to melasma. The other serum I like is the illuminating serum, and in the illuminating serum also the niacinamide that we chatted about. Additionally in here is something called licorice extract, and that's really helpful to one, decrease inflammation pathways in the skin, but two, also to decrease pigment cell activity. So super helpful there. Well tolerated again. We're letting that sit for a little while, then we're bringing in our moisturizer. So the moisturizer we're taking out again, we're sticking to something with thiamidol, decreasing pigment cell activity by blocking the on button for pigment cell activity, which is tyrosinase, an enzyme that is what sets off the melanocyte activity or the cycle of the pigment cell activity. We've put on our moisturizer, and those are three easy steps to do in the evening, even on after a long day. Those are meaningful steps, effective steps, safe steps. Once you're comfortable with that routine, then we graduate to the next level. And this is important because, again, like I was explaining to you, if we can get to multiple pathways in that pigment cell activity, you get a more meaningful lift up. When you're chasing multiple, though, it's important to understand what you can layer, because more doesn't always mean better. Again, more, if our ingredients aren't dancing together or playing together nicely, can actually mean irritation. So you want to choose people in the group that actually speak to each other, that actually get along nicely. Our next ingredient is cysteamine. Now, cysteamine has finally come into the country in South Africa, and I'm so happy for that. Why? Because cysteamine as an ingredient has been found to have equivalence to a 4% hydroquinone. Now, hydroquinone in dermatology really is our gold standard in terms of pigment cell quietening, to quieten down the pigment cell activity. It works. It's just, it comes with its own challenges. The one is, if used long term, it can offset a more deeper set, stubborn pigmentation called ochronosis. You do not want this. And two, it will help while you're using it. We can use it safely for between 3 to 6 months of the year, depending on the strength you're using. But for that remaining part, maybe the 6 to 9 months of the year remainder, we don't have anything to hold the pigment cells as effectively to quieten them down. And so you get either a return of the pigmentation to where you started from, or you get a rebound pigmentation as those melanocytes are let out to be active again. So cysteamine, 1, safety, but 2, equivalence to a 4% hydroquinone. It's a little bit interesting in the way you use this product. It's called a short contact product in terms of how we apply. So before you've taken off your makeup, before you've taken off your sunscreen from the day, I want you to apply the first part. And so just one pump of your first part, your intense phase, is going to go to the face. Then you leave that on week 1 about 5 minutes, week 2 about 10 minutes, week 3 to week 16, you're leaving that on for 15 minutes. So the first part, the first 4 months are work, and then it gets easier. I'll get to that part of it. Then you neutralize for me, week 1 after 5 minutes, week 2 after 10 minutes, week 3 after 15 minutes. You do all your steps you've been comfortable with so far. And then the last part is your boost step. And the boost step is a leave-on part, and that has on a retinol component to it, as well as a niacinamide derivative. So really, you're getting at that activity the whole night through, that 6 to 8 hours of quietening down pigment cell activity, of decreasing reactive oxygen species activity. So a wonderful product, a safe product, and an effective product in your kit. Once you're through that 14 weeks, then it becomes really easy on you. It's just twice a week for maintenance. Remember, maintenance, super important, key to keeping melasma under control, because this is a chronic, recurrent, photo-aging change. And so you can't cure, but you certainly can keep quiet, and you certainly can make skin look a lot more even, a lot more radiant, a lot more glowing in time, which is what we're after. I hope you find that helpful. If you did, please like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment in the section to follow, or if you need more help, you're welcome to contact us at the Dermatology Room. Keep well, skincare lovelies.